Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
Michigan International is best known for the awesome speeds and competitive racing spawned by its broad racing surface and 73-foot wide 18-degree bank turns. Michigan's width and steep banking ensure there's always more than one racing groove, and the fact that MIS is not a super speedway means the drivers have more than enough power to make a challenge out of the turns at both ends of the track. Once upon a time, Indy cars frolicked on those high banks at breathtaking speeds. Witness to Paul Tracy's qualifying record lap of 234.949 miles per hour. Today, Michigan regularly vies with Daytona, Talladega, and Texas as NASCAR's fastest speedway, with Jeff Gordon holding the NASCAR Cup Series track record of 206.558 miles per hour. Richard Petty, David Pearson, Bobby, Davey Allison, Dale Sr. and Jr., Jeff Gordon, and Jimmy Johnson have all added their names to the roll call of MIS winners, one that also includes names like Andretti, Foyt, Unser, Mears, and Zanardi from the days when Indy cars raced in the Irish Hills. Allison to Yarborough, Andretti to Zanardi, the world's greatest racing drivers have been coming to Michigan to test their mettle for more than 40 years, and the fans have followed by the hundreds of thousands. Tonight, it's race 15 of the Beadles Custom Car Carriers Truck Series, and it's next on Track Limits Network. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the virtual Michigan Speedway Race 15, Season 18 of the Beadles Custom Car Carriers Truck Series. Let's take a look at the race details tonight. 105 laps the race distance, 76-degree ambient temperatures, 26% humidity under clear skies, a 6-mile-per-hour breeze. Track temp a little warm, 116 degrees Fahrenheit. Drivers working with a 65% fuel load on board tonight, as well as 3 sets of tires available over the wall. No fast repairs, count them, 0 zip zillage. 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish if we need it. Practice in the books, qualifying underway here at the Speedway. Right now, first time on the board, the 57 of Russ Endicott was 41.25 as Redding goes to the point at 40.15. We watch the 13 of Paul Durkee right now. He goes second quick. Redding maintains the top spot for the time being. Oh, Durkee real loose, middle of 3 and 4, chases it up the racetrack. That's going to hurt his lap, I think. Still got his foot in it, though. He'll drop it down to the apron of the racetrack, back to the stripe. And Paul Durkee, even with that slip up in 3 and 4, goes pole, but not for long as Double O Joe takes it away. A 39.820 for Paul Durkee. Ryan Pisoko was quick. Third fast on his first lap, was below that 40-second mark on his second lap. Ryan across the stripe, third quick. A little faster, 39.838. Mike Corvu, the number 97. Bennett, top time for now, 39.77. And it, Derek Welch puts it on pole on his first lap, 39.52. Scorvu went 40.34. We'll stick with Derek here. Let's see if his second lap's quicker, if he just got all he could on that first time around. And that's it. He's going to go one and done. He'll lift here into turn 3, lock it down. That's the lap of record there for the one of Derek Welch. Carson Rowland ran a 59 his first lap. He's going to stay in the throttle here. He'll come back to start finish. See if he picks up his lap time a bit. Lap 2, 39.677. Stays in the outside pole position for now. Connor Leach out on the track. Hopefully he has remedied his internet demons that plagued him last week. To a 40.098 his first lap. Puts him 11th on the grid. Derek Welch in the chat. This explains why he abandoned lap 2. Had an emergency regarding the bathroom. Hope you got that taken care of, Derek. Second quick for Connor Leach, 39.593. Wasn't quite enough to knock DW off pole position. About 4 minutes left in the session still. Few drivers left to take a time here. Brian McCann, Skylar Harrod, Nick Biddy, Tom Barish, Dylan Bryant, Rick LePage, Mike Fahey, Sean Roberts, Mark Truxell, and Caleb Sisk. Brian McCann out on the track. See if the Sevens got anything for pole. McCann on the clock, lap 1. A little off throttle there, top of 1 and 2. Track temp up a little, 117 degrees. Now let's see if McCann pulls that truck down to the low side here on his second lap. He was rim riding the whole way around on lap 1. .13th quick first lap for the 7, 40.249. As Caleb Sisk locks in just behind him with a 40.29. Dylan Bryant jumps up to the second spot. First lap was a 39.57. Bryant may have something in store for pole. We're going to stick with McCann here for a moment. And there it is, Bryant across the line. Where does he land? Second quick, 39.538. Outside pole for Brian McCann as Dylan Bryant drops down to third. Second lap for Bryant, a little bit slower than his best. That may do it. So we're going to step aside briefly here. We'll get a break out of the way before we get to our starting grid. Stay with us. We'll be back after this. Back at Michigan Speedway, qualifying in the books. Let's take a look at it. Our starting grid on the pole position with a lap time of 39.520 seconds. It's the one, old DW, Derek Welch. Outside pole, missed it by 18 one-thousandths of a second. It's the 7 of Brian McCann. Row number 2, Dylan Bryant from Superman Racing and Connor Leach. Row 3, it's Carson Rowland and Caleb Sisk. Row 4 goes to Track Bar Motorsports number 4 driver of Chris Gones, with Double O Joe to his outside. Row 5, it's Tom Barish and Paul Durkee. 11 starter belongs to the 2 of Ryan Pasoko. 12th goes to Skylar Herod. Jesse Redding in the 21 will start 13th. Joe David, 14th. 15th starter is Justin Lawson. 16th, Mark Collins. Mike Corvu will start 17th. Jonathan Marsh will roll from the 18th position. 19th starter is Ben McKinnon. Russ Endicott, 20th. 21st, Nick Biddy. 22nd, Jarrett Woodard. 23rd is the 5 of Mark Truxell. Mike Fahey from LSR will start in the 24th spot. Sean Roberts in the 333 did not lock into time. Really, a lot of these drivers here in the back of the field. Nick Biddy, Jarrett Woodard, Truxell, Fahey, and Sean Roberts, and Rick LePage, as LePage rounds out the field in 26th, did not even attempt a lap in their qualifying session. That's your starting grid here from Michigan Speedway. We're getting ready to roll here. Waiting on Tom Barish and Jarrett Woodard to take the grid. Jarrett Woodard appears to be pulling down into the pit lane. He'll wait there and start from pit lane. And Derek Welch, even though he started on pole, looks like he's dropping to the rear. That'll move Brian McCann. Well, really, to move the inside lane, Dylan Bryant will move up into that preferred starting position. But while they roll off here, let's look at our race details yet again. 105 laps here, just over 200 miles the distance tonight. 77-degree ambient temps, 23% humidity, clear skies, 8-mile-per-hour breeze. Track temperature still going up, 118 degrees Fahrenheit. Drivers with a 65% fuel load to start this race. That's the size of the tank they'll get to work with tonight. And also 3 sets of tires over the wall no fast repairs, 0 zip zillage. 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish if necessary. Pace truck heads to pit lane here. We'll get the green in just a moment. Barney with it in hand as we're ready to go racing in the Irish Hills of Michigan. Green flag in the air. Side battle for the race lead. Now Leach goes to the inside on Brian McCann. Wants to take that top spot away. Coming down to the line. McCann's going to edge a nose across. He'll lead lap number 1. Lap 1 in the books. Field now out of the back straightaway. Leach has taken the top spot. McCann tucks in behind. Single file. Top 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Into 3 and 4. Tailgate of the 71 as he barreled down into turns 1 and 2. But here comes the Sisk. The Sisk? I'm screwing it up already. Caleb Sisk to the inside of Brian McCann for the second spot out of 2. Lead. S3, bottom and middle with Brian McCann on top. At the line, McCann will edge out those S3 trucks, but for how long? Still a 3-wide battle into turn 1 for the lead here at Michigan. McCann powers it around the outside, keeps the hammer down, hanging on tight. He'll pass the 2 S3 machines and retake the top spot to the back straightaway. On board with the 7 from the race lead. Caleb Sisk now to the inside. Now McCann having to hold off the 71 of Leach, but he's not even looking at him. He's going back to the whip. He wants the top spot. A little bit of a bump draft down the back straightaway into the back of the 6 machine. Top 6 out of turn 4. Caleb Sisk still with the lead. Teammate Connor Leach in tow. Outside lane formed up now. It's Brian McCann with Chris Goins in tow. Goins is working his way up through here now to the 4th position, up 3 spots. Dylan Bryant now 5th. Big run coming for the 7 of McCann, but nowhere to take it. He'll just go into the back bumper of that 6 machine, gives him a shot, sends him down the back again. Here comes a bump from the 4. In turn, goes back to the 6. Transfer of energy from the 4, 7, 6. Little slip from Caleb up the racetrack, giving Connor Leach some room, but now a battle for the lead here as Leach goes to the bottom. He wants the race lead at the stripe. Man, it says that Sis Glennon, but it certainly looked like it was Leach. Great action here at the front of the field. Now Chris Goins pushing, sorry, the other way around. Brian McCann pushing the 6 again. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Oh, a little bit of contact maybe with Brian McCann and Connor Leach. Shoots him up the track just a bit, keeps it out of the wall, but Goins right there to collect the 7. Gonna push him back. Just a few feet separating the top 3 trucks in the outside lane. Connor Leach there on the bottom, the inside of Brian McCann, really with no help. Yes, help. Drafting does matter here at Michigan Speedway. It does come into play. It's not quite as pronounced as the Super Speedway. Obviously, you've got some power to get it done as Leach does so. Swapping lanes now. Chris Goins in tow of the 71. Now a 4-truck battle for the lead down the backstretch into 3. What a race we've got on our hands already here at Michigan Speedway. A little wiggle from Caleb Sisk again out of 4. On board with Connor Leach. Seems the outside lane is the preferred lane, at least for the time being. Things may change as the race moves on. Track temperature might change a bit too, we'll see. Back to the bottom of the racetrack, Connor Leach gaining some ground on the race leader. Now Chris Goins rockets to the front. He's working the outside lane. Leach to second. Fear the 4. Chris Goins to the point. Top 5 all grouped up together here off of turn number 4. Again, a side-by-side battle has shaped back up for the race lead. Sisk drives it to the bottom. Does he get clear Goins into 1? And he will. Guys are racing like there's 5 to go. Goins almost gets in the wall and threads the needle, gets in front of Connor Leach. Leach is going to swap positions with Goins, leaves him high and dry, or low and dry for that matter, but he's going back to the whip. Side by side with Caleb Sisk for the race lead again here in 3 and 4. This is going to be all race. I'm going to lose my voice. The VRL boys are going to have to worry. I won't have anything to say tomorrow. Those that don't get the reference, the Vigilante Racing League is here tomorrow night as well, also in the trucks. Also live here on Track Limits Network, so come back tomorrow night if you want to see more of this. Lap 14 up on the board. Everybody's single file now, calming down a bit, trying to get into a rhythm. Hopefully we can run this all the way to our first set of green flag pit stops, get an idea of what that fuel window looks like. Leach for the big-time run out of 2, but he sticks it behind the 6 for now. Things have gone relatively calm here, front to back. That's good to see. Carson rolling in the 5th spot. He's taking it back from Dylan Bryant. Bryant now trying to challenge as well, looking to the outside of the number 90. Bryant up top in the number 52 Toyota. Chris Goins way up the racetrack trying to find a solution here to keep pace that he had not that long ago. It's relegated back into the 4th spot after leading a lap or 2. On board with the 3rd place truck of Brian McCann. And I don't know if you guys caught that. We're going to switch cameras here. We're going to go to the driver's eye camera here with Brian McCann. He is already starting to lift and coast. We heard it there. Watch the RPMs on the dashboard there. Watch him drop to 0 here in just a moment. Close to 0, not quite all the way, but you definitely lifting, pushing in the clutch. Letting that truck rotate on its own and just coast through the corners on entry. Fortunately, Tom Barish out of this one already. Not sure what happened. He was out on the racetrack, qualified halfway decent, but now he'll finish tonight's race, I believe, in the 25th position. Paul Durkee also off the racetrack in 26th. Their day likely done. We watch Derek Welch now back in the 24th position. Remember, he qualified the truck on pole, and then initially, before the race even started, dropped to the rear. Likely a penalty to be served, but he's real loose through 3 and 4 all by himself. Welch really hoping for a caution here. He'd get caught back up, at least get into some action. Follow up on the 1 here later on as the race progresses. Further up through the pack, just inside the top 15 here, Joe David, the 34 machine, leading Mark Truxell in the 5. Truxell making a move to the bottom. Mark's running well here. He's up 8 spots already, moving pretty well. Truxell in the Little Tate's Cupcake Silverado. Not able to get the pass done on Joe David. He'll stay in the 15th spot for now. Further to the front you roll, the harder it gets to pick up those spots. He's got Jonathan Marsh just a truck length off the tailgate of the 5 as well to worry about. Talk about a big mover here. Sean Roberts into the top 10 now for the first time today. He's up 15 positions. He started 25th. So Roberts picking up spots in a hurry here in Michigan. Mike Fahey and Nick Biddy now battling for position. Fahey in the number 19 truck running in the 12th position. Slides up in front of the 32 of Biddy, completes the pass. Back up front, though, the battle still close for the race lead. But Connor Leach, I think, is going to be content riding the tire tracks of Caleb Sisk here early in the running here in Michigan. They don't need to push the issue too much, not like they did in the first 12 laps. Then it's third place Brian McCann, then Chris Goins. Back in fifth is Bryant. Jesse Redding, another big mover. He's up from 13th. In sixth, Mark Truxell comes to pit lane. This seems a little early, but maybe not. Again, a 65% fuel load. This might be a planned pit stop for the 5. He's in a little early. First one to make a green flag stop here at lap 23. It'll be lap 22 by the record. He hasn't crossed the stripe just yet. Ben McKinnon also going to pull down and pit. Drops the jack. Truxell back out. 14.68, 4 tires and Sunoco fuel. It's interesting to me that this first pit stop, I'm surprised to see guys taking tires. They only got 3 sets to work with over the wall. Marsh, Roberts, LePage, Endicott, and Welch. They're all going to head down and pit as well. Here again, under green flag. Leaders likely to come down soon after. I'm still curious to see who ends up with tires or not. And here they come. Leaders off of 4 into pit lane. Caleb Sisk brings them down. The traffic jam begins. Sisk leads the charge. Now side by side, got McCann and Leach. McCann's going to swap lanes, go to the outside as Leach is trying to get to his pit box. Welch is down and away, and Sisk loses the truck. Too much rear brake, and he's stuck on the wall. Lucky to get it off the pit wall. He'll have to back up, reposition the vehicle to get where he needs to be so this crew can change the tires or at least put fuel in it. Sisk is going fuel only, maybe an audible here given that he lost so much time. It wasn't worth trying to put the tires on this time. So Sisk with a mistake in pit lane, maybe too much rear brake. The truck just came around as he got slowed up to get into his pit box. So that puts Connor Leach back out in front. So how quickly we got through that pit cycle here. First pit stop, I believe, was Mark Truxell. That was lap 22 with Ben McKinnon. And then 24 for everybody else. So 22 to 24 laps on a tank of fuel here at Michigan. Leach did not take tires. Biddy did not take tires. Neither did Caleb Sisk. Everybody else did. Now, one thing in common about those 3 drivers that did not take tires, well, they raced for the same team. No doubt they talked about this ahead of time. They had a plan, and they're certainly discussing it during the race as far as what their intentions are between each other. Again, there's a team championship at play here. Let's go back to that here. We didn't talk about it in the open, but here's your Gulf Coast Sand Silver Championship standings. Roberts, Bryant, Lawson, the top 3, and then the team championship. S3 leads it by a decent margin over Track Bar Motorsports, the Goats, Outcast, and NTR. And in the full season points, Brian McCann leads it, not by much, but a somewhat comfortable lead over Connor Leach. If Brian can continue to have consistent quality finishes the rest of the season, he might be in good shape here. Of course, the full season championship brought to you by Davidson Builders. So 27 laps in the books. And a battle for the lead here. McCann reeled in. Connor Leach now gets to the inside. I think Brian's saving fuel again. We'll go on board. Yep, McCann. Lift and coast. Trying to save every drop he can. So after the pit stops, everybody has cycled through. Brian McCann, the leader now. Connor Leach second. Chris Goins running there in third. He's starting to reel in Leach as well. You gotta wonder if Leach is just driving at about 80% right now. Everybody has their own method of trying to save fuel. Maybe just drive the whole lap at 80%. Brian McCann's method is just lift and coast a little bit on entry, not using hardly any fuel at all getting into the corner. Last lap for the top two were identical, 41.75 for McCann, the same for Connor Leach. Goins, however, a lot faster, almost 7 full tenths quicker. Now he looks to the inside for second. Jesse Redding in fourth, rolling up. Ryan Pasocco as well, but Ryan not on the lead lap currently. He's 24th, 1 lap down. Now Jesse Redding jumps up to P2. Slots in front of teammate Chris Goins. Now you want to talk about the mistake made on pit road by Caleb Sisk. The truck just came around on him. He is mired back in the 11th position now after that. 9+ seconds in the rear. Remember, he came down as the race leader. So a lot of time lost in the pits for the 6. Granted, he did not take tires, so that saved him some time to get back out on the racetrack. Having a moment like he had in the pits, it's one thing to have it happen under yellow. You can regroup and still probably change those tires and get away with it. But under green, every second counts, especially at the speeds they're running here, covering the distance of a football field almost every second. And just like that, Jesse Redding goes to the race lead. He puts Brian McCann in the rearview mirror. Let's take a look at it just a moment ago. The pass for the race lead. Redding got to the outside, had the run on corner exit. Little bit of a wiggle there for Brian McCann as Pasocco got into the wall. Lucky he didn't collect anybody. But a clean pass, doing it on the high side by Jesse Redding to take the lead. So Redding comfortably out front. I just have to wonder, too, if some of these guys are just not putting up much of a fight here for that race lead, because being out in the wind there, you're breaking that plane of air in front of your truck before everybody else. So you're dirtying up the air behind you, but you're using a lot more power, a lot more horsepower, a lot more fuel to do that. So running in tow of another driver, another truck, or multiple trucks for that matter, does help you save some fuel. And that's actually working out nicely here for Jesse Redding. He's riding behind the 2 of Pasocco, who just got his lap back. So Redding still leads, but he has the benefit of a truck in front of him. Now it's Russ Endicott, but he'll swap lanes. Endicott stays up top. And Mark Truxell back on pit lane. This seems very premature. Remember, he pit at lap 22. If he stuck to that same plan, it would be lap 44. Here we are, lap 36. Truxell in the pits again. This could be fuel only for the 5. Stays on the ground, tops off the tank, and heads back out. I don't know. Maybe he just didn't get it full. McKinnon stays out on the track. He pit with Truxell the last time. Further back into the top 10, Mike Fahey in 9th. Looking for more here, Joe David in the 34. Fahey gets clear here. He'll pick up that 8th position, and he does. Drives off. Further back in the pack, Dylan Bryant in the 11th spot. Now Bryant looks like he took fuel only on his stop, but it took a bit longer for him, a couple of seconds extra on pit lane for the 52, so he's not quite up front where he was prior to that first round of stops. And Mike Fahey having a moment. Slow at the bottom of the racetrack. He was all the way down in the paved runoff there out of 2. Might have had a problem on corner exit. Oh, there it is. Was there contact? The 34 just drives right in the back of Fahey, right at corner exit. I don't know if I like that. So Joe David, I don't know if he had a bone to pick with the 19 or what, but that was almost disaster for Mike Fahey. He holds on to the 9th spot for now. We've got pit stops underway. It's Caleb Sisk now. He'll probably take tires this time. Skylar Herod also on the pits with Carson Rowland. So right side tires going on the number 6 machine. Four tire stop for Caleb Sisk. Sunoco Racing Fuel to top off the tank here at lap 41. Going to be a lot of pit stops here tonight. And Connor Leach from the front will come down and pit. Redding still leads. McCann now second. Gones third. So pit stops underway under green yet again. Front runners unchanged for now. It's Redding, McCann, and Gones. Jonathan Marsh now up to 4th. Double O Joe in P5. Redding's last stop was at lap 24. I would imagine he can go to 48 or better. In other news, Stream Chat's kind of quiet here tonight, guys. Jump in there and say hey. We got DW and Gabby Benuro, that's it. Derek Welch, top of the racetrack, pole sitter tonight. He's actually in the wall here. He's going down a lap. Jones taking evasive action as Welch a little off the pace after scraping turn 4. Meanwhile, Connor Leach is taking his lap back. And we got Robert Altman in the chat cheering on the 90 and the 80. Speaking of the 80, Jonathan Marsh on the pit lane. Carson Rowland in the 90. Carson runs 21st. So Marsh from the top 5, he'll pit at lap 45. Put tires and fuel into his Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. Ben McKinnon down and away. And still Redding, McCann, and Goins keep it out on the track. Redding drops it to the bottom here. He may be prepping for pit lane, but the battle is on for the second spot. Goins was all over the back of Brian McCann. All these drivers here in the top 7 made their first pit stop at lap 24. I would expect them to make that second pit stop anytime. Still 11 trucks on the lead lap. The 71 of Connor Leach, the last truck on the lead lap. Sean Roberts, the first to lap down in 12th. Goins now making a look to the inside on McCann again here at start-finish, but tucks back in going into 1. Rick LePage from 10th will hit pit lane. And slowing is the 21er Redding. Redding going to come to pit lane here. He'll take his service, tires, and fuel likely. Maybe, real fast on entry. He might be in trouble here. Really fast coming to pit lane. This could be bad for the 21. And a really good run going as he was leading at the time. Might have missed his mark to get on the brakes to lower down in time. We'll see. If he gets held for an extra 40, you'll know why. So Redding going fuel only here. We'll see if he gets to sit a little bit longer, and it appears that is the case. Redding too fast. Entry to pit road. Now Brian McCann and Chris Goins will come to the pits. So the top 2, McCann and Goins, on pit lane second time tonight. Oh, Goins turns left into Jarrett Woodard and gets turned into the pit wall. Damage on the 4 machine. Goins is going to take tires and fuel here, but he may have to get some repairs made as well. Again, no fast repairs in this league. almost to halfway here at Michigan. He's not going to fix it. He's going to go back out. 15:07 to stop, and he lost a lot of time. Just going to rewind this quickly to watch this a second time. So Goins comes back out in 8th. Now 2 pit cycles in a row. You've had front runner with a major issue in pit lane on their pit stop. Lap 51, Leach is back out in front. Brian McCann back in P2. He is 8.3 seconds back. Now the difference here is Leach made a stop at lap 40. McCann was lap 49. So Leach was able to make up some ground when those guys were out there on older tires, but now it's flipped. Now Leach has the older set. McCann has newer tires. He can start to run down that 71. Will it equal out at the end of this thing? Again, we're just shy of halfway. Chris Goins trying to make up some ground now as he's up to 5th. And now 4th. So Goins down the backstretch, halfway down the backstretch as the race leader is out of turn 4. So we are officially halfway here from Michigan Speedway. We're going to step aside here, get a Track Limits Network side-by-side break out of the way. Stay with us. You won't miss a moment of the action. We'll be back after this.
I met Marcos Garza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Michigan Speedway, 58 laps in the books. Connor Leach still your race leader over Brian McCann, Caleb Sisk, and Chris Goins. Goins able to recover after that pit road incident with Jarrett Woodard. Jonathan Marsh running in P5. Goins running behind Jesse Redding here. Redding losing a lap after a pit road speeding penalty. He runs 19th. Goins on the charge here, 10-lap newer tires than Caleb Sisk. It's the only saving grace for him right now is even though he had that problem in pit lane, they were all very late to pit lane as it was, so they all have kind of a tire advantage at this point. Got a lot of nose damage on that number 4 machine. You see the center of it pushed in. Just got to cross your fingers that thing doesn't overheat and grenade. Meanwhile, some takers on pit lane here. Sean Roberts, Mark Truxell going to come down and pit. So 4 tires and fuel for Sean Roberts. Same story for Mark Truxell. The interval from first to second shrinking. It was 2.5, now it's 2.4, and still coming down. Leach still has the race lead, but Brian McCann back there with 9-lap pressure tires. This is going to have to contend with Derek Welch here. Another lap down for him. Actually, this is going to put Derek a lap down. Derek got one of those laps back, I believe, through that cycle. No, he's a lap. Lost that lap recently to Connor Leach. McCann running behind Derek Welch here. It seems to be working as he's still gaining ground on the race lead. It's under a second now. Meanwhile, Chris Goins has taken the spot from Caleb Sisk, jumps up into the 3rd position, but Caleb back on pit lane. Caleb taking tires. Now Connor Leach from the race lead. He'll hit pit lane. Knock on wood, we've been green flag racing since the start of this one. Haven't seen the yellow come out of the holster yet. 4 tires and fuel for Connor Leach as well. Back out front, though, it's the 7 of Brian McCann. And watching this, I got to wonder here if Brian is just running behind Welch, knowing he's got a good cushion back to Chris Goins. This keeps Welch on the lead lap. It's not something you see a whole lot these days, especially in iRacing, but back in the day, it was not uncommon for the race leader to cut somebody some slack. We know that Welch was fast. Put the truck on pole. So looking at pit stops here again, Brian McCann and Chris Goins. They came down at lap 49. Will they stretch this run out again? Take it as far as they can to the end, maybe pray for a caution, but Goins, so far, even with that pit road incident, still runs in the second position. 14 and a half seconds back. Probably would have been closer to 3 or 4 seconds back without that incident with Jarrett Woodard, but so far, damage not completely done. Day still salvaged to this point, and a caution certainly would erase that mistake. Trying to take a look at the right rear of Brian McCann's machine. It appears he might have some damage on that truck. Try and get a better look. It seemed like the right rear tail light there. Yes, right rear section of the truck pushed in just a smidge. Going to pull some side force away from that truck. It's going to be a little looser in the corner. It shouldn't be a problem for Brian McCann, but it's an adjustment that needs to be made. Meanwhile, McCann running behind Welch, still able to put some distance on Goins. That deficit increasing. Mark Collins will come to pit lane. Ooh, real loose in 4. McCann pushing. I think he's trying to stay out of the wake of Derek Welch, at least in the corners, because that dirty air certainly not helping things. Especially with the damage to the right rear. Combination of dirty air and damage. McCann may have his hands full, but it's not hurting his lap times right now. Last lap of 41.84. Goins ran a 42.20. Jonathan Marsh will pull off the track here and hit pit lane. Marsh will take tires. Again, they started with 3 sets available over the wall, so they really had to manage them accordingly, given we had a 105-lap race distance. Now Caleb Sisk marching his way back through. He's in 8th, but he's not on the lead lap. He is now that he's gotten clear of Brian McCann. And Derek Welch in the fence again. He's just having a day. McCann finally deciding to make the move here and go by the 1, but in this instance, it's still not a death nail for Derek Welch. If the caution were to come out, he'd get the lucky dog. He'd still get back on the lead lap. So not a major issue here, but Derek's going to try and look back to the inside, see if he can do anything with Brian. Likely just a matter of time here before we see the 7 make the left turn to pit lane. He's trying to stretch this out as long as he can. He might be able to make this on one more stop if he's careful. And McCann made his stop at lap 49. And he's going to come down now. Lap 73. He went 24 laps. Had an issue coming to pit lane, but this does not get him to the finish, even on fuel. It's going to come up about, I think, 7 or 8 laps shy. Chris Goins also in pit lane. So they're going to need a caution or another green flag stop to make it to the end here. That's pretty much the story for just about everybody else. May see Connor Leach pit here in the next 10, 15 laps, probably closer to 15 laps. And Leach came down at lap 63. He has retaken the top spot. Kind of a weird race here tonight. It started off crazy, hot and heavy in the first, 10, 15 laps. They're battling like it was the last 10, 15 laps. Had no cautions to speak of, and it's been relatively tame and calm ever since. So coming to 30 laps to go, Leach back out in front, Caleb Sisk now back in second, McCann third, Bryant fourth, Herod fifth. Goins still suffering a bit from his pit road issue. He's back now in ninth, about 33, almost a whole lap behind these guys. Gabby Benura in the chat says, gonna jinx it, Steve, hopefully. I mean, a caution-free race is always cool to talk about because, yeah, it's a clean race and we did good. You know, these trucks are hard to drive and we got it done, but I would take a yellow. Re-rack this field, get them going again. Just give it like 5 more laps before that happens. That way everybody can make it. So Derek Welch running back in 13th, still on the lead lap. Or is he? No, he's not. He's down again. First truck 1 lap down. No, second. Mark Collins, first truck 1 lap down. He's just out of turn 2. He has a considerable advantage over Derek Welch right now. So 11 trucks on the lead lap. Let's go through them. It's Connor Leach, the leader. Brian McCann, second. Caleb Sisk in third. Dylan Bryant, fourth. Skylar Herod, fifth. Carson Rowland in the 6th spot. Sean Roberts, 7th. Jonathan Marsh, 8th. 9th, Chris Goins. Mark Truxell, 10th. And last truck on the lead lap, the Toyota of Nick Biddy. This a battle for the 4th spot. Bryant and Herod. Bryant in the 52. Carson Rowland in the mix as well. That's also a position, so that's 4th, 5th, and 6th all in a row. Dylan Bryant hanging on to the spot for the time being. Jarrett Woodard back in 16th, making a move around the 80 of Jonathan Marsh. Marsh is on a different lap comparatively. Marsh running in 7th. Now Derek Welch has gotten back on the lead lap. I don't know if Collins had a problem or if Welch just gained the ground that much quicker. Did have 5-lap newer tires, actually much newer tires, as Mark Collins pit at lap 67 and did not put tires on. So Collins is going to come to pit lane right now, probably bolt on his last set. 24 laps to go. We should be in that fuel window now, where everybody can pit and make it to the end, barring a green-white checkered finish. Again, we would need a caution before that's a concern. Haven't had one yet. That just means the odds are there that we're going to get one. Collins down and away. He'll head back out. So DW back on the lead lap in P12. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is about Welch tonight. I can't get his lap count correct to save my life. He's the first truck 1 lap down. So if we get the caution, he would be the lucky dog recipient. Still a solid run, though, after effectively starting from the rear after qualifying the 1 truck on pole. Leach still out in front here, 23 to go. 7.75 second advantage over Brian McCann, but still needing to make a pit stop. Same is true for Brian McCann, however. Really just about everybody, but Mark Truxell is going to come down and make his final stop. Set of tires left for the 5, so he'll have fresh tires on the way to the end. So when do these drivers decide to make that final stop? Coming to 21 to go. Leach still the leader. Stays on the racetrack. Sean Roberts in the pits for the final time. And some pit stops underway. Sisk, Herod, Marsh, and Rowland. Jarrett Woodard is also down. Dylan Bryant from 4th. He'll come to pit lane for his final stop. And now we're in a predicament where we're really running low on lead lap trucks. Connor Leach is going to turn left, and he'll pit from the race lead. McCann back out in front. How long does McCann wait to come down and pit? Connor Leach also saved a set for last. Chris Goins will come down and pit, still showing some front end damage, but it really hasn't seemed to affect him too terribly much. Might have slowed the pace of the truck slightly. He was really fast out of the gate. Fuel only for Chris Goins as he heads on back out. So we've got 4 trucks on the lead lap, Nick Biddy being the 4th one, and he hits pit lane. So now we have 3 trucks on the lead lap, McCann, Leach, and Welch. McCann and Welch are going to need to make one more stop before this one is over, and it likely is coming soon. Connor Leach good to go to the end. About 30 seconds in the rear view from Brian McCann and closing fast. Last lap for McCann was a 41.71. Leach ran a 39.83. Almost 2 seconds faster than the race leader. I don't think McCann's got tires left. Means he's going to try and just run this out to the very bitter end. Derek Welch in 3rd on the lead lap, but not that far ahead of current race leader Brian McCann. Welch back to start finish. McCann just out of 4. $14 to go. Caleb Sisk getting a lap back the old-fashioned way. He gets clear of McCann. Sisk running in P4. Right now, though, Connor Leach in a very good position to pick up another win on the season. It would be his 4th. and his first dating back to April at Darlington. Connor always has pace, but he may end up getting this one on some strategy. See a change of position here before you know it. Third place up for grabs. Caleb Sisk in fourth, about a second behind Derek Welch. Oh, we got one truck in the fence. Pounds the outside, still straightens it back out. Will continue on, no yellow. Sisk closing in a hurry here, wants that third spot, likely to get it here before too long. Another lap or two at the most. Welch leaves the door open, knows that Sisk has fresher tires, and he does by about 8 laps. So moves Sisk up into the top 3. Now Brian McCann kind of being hounded here by Lap Truck and Jarrett Woodard. McCann on lap 23 of his fuel run. Likely going to have to make a stop here the next lap or two. Connor Leach to inherit the lead when that happens. And he'll have about an 18-second gap back to third place Caleb Sisk, which will in turn be P2. And here comes Brian McCann to pit road. Derek Welch will come down same time. So with 9, now 8 laps to go, McCann gives up the race lead to make his final stop of the night for fuel. McCann down and away. Derek Welch still changing tires. He'll put a set of 4 on here. Run to the last 8 laps to the finish. Leach now with the lead. McCann still showing in the second spot, however. And he's got about 3 seconds on Caleb Sisk. He's still coming up to speed. He might be able to hold off the 6 machine and hang on to that second spot. Now, keep in mind, Sisk made his pit stop at lap 84 here, and he did take a set of tires. McCann's tires, I believe, are from lap 73. Have to look at the lap time here when we get a chance to get it to cycle back through. Last lap for Caleb Sisk was a 41.43. McCann in a little bit of traffic here. We'll see if that hurts the lap too much, but here comes Derek Welch with those new tires in a hurry. Tries to get out of the way of Collins, goes up the track, had nowhere to go. Collins was trying to move out of the way of Welch. Almost ended up getting into McCann, and then Welch almost ran in the back of the 23. Best bet there, man, just hold your line. So the clock in here, McCann ran a 42.56 to Caleb's 41.58. I'm sorry, 51 that is. So a full second slower than Caleb Sisk. So McCann has got work to do if he's going to hang out of that second spot. Connor Leach still comfortably out in front here, 18 seconds the lead, almost a half a lap. Goins is now a lap down in the 9th position. And that leaves us with 7 trucks still on the lead lap here with 5 to go. Coming to 4. Caleb Sisk now to the inside on Brian McCann. This the battle for the second spot. Fresher tires underneath that 6 machine. Not a whole lot McCann can do here, but just let it happen. So Caleb Sisk up into that second spot here. 3 laps to go. Connor Leach, healthy margin out in front by 18 plus seconds. Leach looking for his 4th win on the season. Coming to the white flag here into 3 and 4. Leach just wants to see that white flag wave. Here he comes. Barney's got it. White flag, final lap. One more clean lap for Connor Leach, and he'll pick up the win here as Nick Biddy goes to the inside. Biddy on the tail end of the lead lap in 8th. Team car to Connor Leach. Or truck, that is. Leach real loose through turn 4, but it's okay. He doesn't need to worry about it now. Coming to the checkered flag. Connor Leach wins it at Michigan. Down to the stripe, Caleb Sisk will finish this one off in P2, while Brian McCann will come home in 3rd. Connor just going to go an extra lap here. Why not? Trying to drift it through 3 and 4. Touches the wall with the right rear. Has 3 teammates parking it here at start finish. Oops. Connor Leach parks it start-finish line here at Michigan after picking up the win. We're going to step aside here, or, oh, he's not done. All right, well, now the whole world's doing donuts. We'll be back after this, folks. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As that's still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
Back at Michigan Speedway, race 15 in the books. Connor Leach picking up the win over Caleb Sisk and Brian McCann. Let's get the driver of the number 71 up into the broadcast booth and get a word with our race winner. Connor Leach is Steve with Track Limits. Do you got us?
I got you, Steve.
Connor, congratulations, man. A fourth place starting position in a very fast truck here tonight. A little bit of strategy to mix in, and you take the win here. Your fourth of the season, first since Darlington in April, man. Walk us through this race. How did you make it work?
Man, I mean, we were coming up to that first pit stop. We were all as a team humming and hawing, like, do we take tires, do we not? And it's like, well, if it were to go green, we would have to do a splash and go at the end with no tires if we took tires on every fuel run. So we figured I don't know, maybe about 3 or 4 laps to go in that first run. I'm not taking tires, doesn't matter what happens. I'm not taking them on the first stop. And then we also had the idea of taking less fuel because we knew with a full fuel tank, it was going to be loose. So we took just 1 can of fuel instead of 1 1/4 or whatever it would have been, and then just kind of rode it out until the fuel was out, and then came and put our first set of tires on. And then from there, you know, it kind of would go back and forth. The guys that took tires on the first run, if a caution were to come out while we were a lap down, it would have screwed us. If a caution came out when we were on the lead lap, it would have been good. So I mean, it was kind of always, will a caution come out or will it not? And luckily it didn't. It was a really good, clean race from everyone. It seemed like it got fairly spread out after a few pit stops. And yeah, no, I mean, good racing for everyone in the field to not make any big mistakes. And it was a fun race. We got the win.
Certainly incredible racing to watch in the first, 10, 15 laps of this thing. And then, well, really everything's settled down. Everybody's starting to think strategy, tires, fuel, and the like. But at the end of the game, the S3 boys got it done. It's a scary combination you guys have of the S3 group. You've got speed, but you've also got the strategy thing figured out as well. Can you carry that momentum into Watkins Glen next week? I know you and Caleb specifically, you like those road courses as well as anything else. Can we look at maybe yet another win for you guys next week?
Oh, absolutely. There's always a chance for it, but there's always a chance it could go wrong. But I'm hoping for the latter option, or the first option there. I hope it goes well, and we can come out with a good, strong finish for the team. And yeah, Watkins Glen. I felt more comfortable at Coda than I do at Watkins Glen. But we'll see how it goes. Hopefully we get a good run in. Maybe I'll have to do some practice laps after work during the week here, and we'll get that thing figured out.
All right, Connor. Well, congratulations yet again. Is there anyone you want to thank before we kick you out of here?
Oh, well, obviously, you putting on the broadcast, and huge shout out to Derek and you know, the whole NTRL group for doing this. I know there's some things going on. We might get it next season, we might not, but hopefully we do. I love racing with these guys, and it's always fun. But nevertheless, yeah, then you know, my team, all the teammates. I mean, I think we all didn't take tires on the first stop there. I feel like a lot of people did. There's maybe a couple guys that didn't, but yeah, no, it was really fun with the team. I mean, we're all together, and there was a couple guys that probably could have gunned for a win, but little mistakes here and there, and different strategy, and you know, obviously anything could have happened with a caution at any point, and that race could have changed it up. But luckily we came out with a win. But yeah, shout out to the team. It was a really good team effort. We had all of us in there this time, and yeah, it was a good time out there. It was fun.
Connor Leach and S3 just continues to keep on rolling. Wish you the best of luck next week at the Glen, Connor. Thanks for talking to us, man.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. We'll see you there.
Connor Leach, your winner here at Michigan Speedway. Next, we're going to talk to teammate Caleb Sisk, runner-up here tonight in that number 6 machine. Had some early excitement coming to pit lane. We'll talk to him about it as well here. Let's pull him up into the broadcast booth. Caleb, it's Steve with Track Limits. You got me?
Yeah, I do. How you doing, Steve?
Caleb, congrats, man. I'm doing well. A job well done, man. Incredible run back up to the front. That first pit stop, a little chaotic. Looked like maybe the rear brakes locked up on you. The thing came around. You almost got stuck up on that pit wall. Walk us through what happened there, and then really what changed as far as your plan was concerned to get back towards the front near the end of this thing.
An absolute mental lapse. I had it in first gear with really super low front brake bias, and it started wheel hopping, and I don't know if you noticed, but it looked like the slowest wreck ever on replay. And then yeah, you're right, I tried to make sure I didn't wreck anybody and stay in the pit box, so I put it in reverse to make sure I stayed shadow boxed, backed it up on the pit wall, and it told me I had unrepairable damage. I just shaking my head the whole time, pulled it in too far left, had to adjust again. Just an absolute disaster class of how not to pit on the first pit stop. And thankfully I had enough speed and I made the right strategy call that I could drive back to second. So I'm really good at giving away wins at Michigan. I've made it a habit almost, and it's always on pit road. I either speed, correct myself, or do something like that. So,
well, if you're going to give one away, why not give it away to a teammate? Certainly that's a good thing because team points matter, and you guys are continuing to run away with that with a road course coming up next week at Watkins Glen International. Likely a strong track for you guys at S3. How do you prepare for the Glen next week?
Yeah, it's a little less about strategy and a little more about skill, and I think we all got it. Some of us have it more than others, but once again, I will not be here. I'm back on the road for work, so I won't be back, I think, until Pocono or New Atlanta, one of the two.
Oh, very good. Either way, we'll keep a close eye on Connor Leach. I know he does run pretty well on the road courses. Admittedly, he said Coda was more his cup of tea than the Glen, but we'll see how things play out. With that said, though, still a super strong run here tonight for yourself. A 6th-place starting position. Brought it home P2 after that pit road mistake. Congrats, man. Who do you want to shout out to?
Yeah, just a shout out to the whole team. Everybody trusted me on the strategy call. It was definitely a little bit off-putting when you hear, hey, we're going to run this set of tires 40 laps and just trust me, and from there we'll be short pitting and running those tires as hard as we want for the rest of the race. And we were really only in danger about 6 laps at a time, so and when we were in danger, most people weren't on super old tires, so pretty calculated risk. I think it worked great. Super proud of everybody for executing, minus myself on pit road. Got a 1, 2, 4, 7, 8 today. I mean, that is absolutely that's the way to come in and execute and really show that we can do it. Really proud. Nick Beatty Design, Sis Speed Shop, Derek Welch for putting the league on, even if it stops. It's been a good run, and appreciate you for broadcasting.
All right, Caleb, thanks for talking to us, man. Good luck at the next one.
Appreciate it.
Caleb Sisk, your runner-up here at MIS. Next, we're going to talk to the driver of the number 7 Chevrolet. That's Brian McCann. I'm real curious to see what he has to say here. A 3rd-place finish after a outside pole starting position. Brian McCann, it's Steve with Track Limits. You got me?
Hey, Steve.
Brian, congrats, man. 3rd-place finish here. You led some laps. You were fast. You were up front. Little bit of right rear damage. Didn't catch where that came from. But my question is, did that really hurt the handling on that truck, killing some side force?
At first, I didn't think so, but when we pit with other drivers and was on fresh tires coming out, I started to notice they were just pulling away. Like, I could not stay wide open throttle or anywhere close to wide open throttle. So I think it did. And then I was confused as well because I was like, where did I get that damage from? And they must have changed the damage model or something, because I did just barely tap the wall out of 4, but that wasn't where I got it. What actually happened was I went back on the replay and looked. I was passing Dylan Bryant out of the pits and bumped into him on that little 1-lane stretch there. It was a little pass in the grass. But anyway, my bumper caught him and did all that damage. And I don't think it should have done that. So it looks like they might have changed the damage model a little bit.
Truck's getting a little bit more sensitive, it appears. Either way, you still held on to a 3rd-place finish. A solid run, just maintaining that points lead as we head into Watkins Glen next week. Connor Leach is going to be strong there, but I'm pretty sure if you get with your brother, he might be able to give you a few pointers about that place. But you run pretty well, especially at the Glen. How do you get ready for maybe taking that win away next week?
I know Connor's going to be good there, so I'm just going to go out and have fun and see what happens. I'm just going to send it. I'm not going to do anything special.
All right, Brian. Well, who do you want to thank, man, before we let you go?
My family, drivers for an amazing caution-free race there. You for doing the broadcast, league admins and race control, and everybody watching tonight. My spotter, Repeat 1975, and Derek in my chat for helping out with fuel strategy. Thank you.
All right, Brian. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck at the Glen. Brian McCann, your 3rd-place finisher here at Michigan. That'll do it for our interview portion of the broadcast. Let's get a look at our race results. Of course, we talked to our top 3 already. Connor Leach, Caleb Sisk, Brian McCann. Skylar Herod finished in the 4th spot. Dylan Bryant was 5th. Sean Roberts, P6. 7th went to Carson Rowland. Nick Biddy was 8th. 9th was Chris Goins. After his issue on pit lane, likely a top 3 gone away for the 4 with that incident with Jarrett Woodard. Mark Truxell, a solid top 10. He finishes 10th. Derek Welch, after putting the truck on pole position, had to go to the back at the beginning, drove it back through. Still a solid 11th place. Jonathan Marsh was 12th. Mark Collins, 13th. Jesse Redding finished in the 14th position. 15th place was Mike Corvu. Double O Joe was 16th. Rick LePage, 17th. Ryan Pasoko was 18th. 20th. Sorry, I'm skipping numbers now. Russ Endicott was 19th. 20th, Jarrett Woodard. Joe David, 21st. Ben McKinnon was 22nd. 23rd, Mike Fahey. Justin Lawson, 24th. Tom Barish was 25th. And last but not least, Paul Durkee out of this one very early, finishes 101 laps down in P26. Again, that'll do it for us here at the broadcast booth from Michigan Speedway. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Congratulations again. Connor Leach picking up win number 4 on the season as we head to the road course at Watkins Glen next week. Stay tuned. Be here for it on Track Limits Network, a place that I hold near and dear to my heart. In fact, I'll be camped out there just a few days after the broadcast, so we're looking forward to it. Tune in here at Track Limits Network. Hit the thumbs up, the like button if you haven't already done so. Help us out there. It does more than you realize. Subscribe if you're not already. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. You know the deal. Thanks for watching, everybody. You guys have a good night.